Hey, everyone. It is Allison, and we are here tonight for our seventh day of Affirmation Friday. Let me know when you are in the room. I want highs. I want yurts. Like, come on. If y'all know, then y'all know. Like, I want yurts. I want haze. I want what's up. I want to see y'all in the chats. I want to know what's going on. Like, I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited that everybody is going to join tonight. Yes, right? It's been a week. It's been 7 days. It has been 7 days. You already know what time it is. Like, it's been 7 days, y'all. 7 days of getting hit, getting your edges ripped, putting them back on, and then getting them ripped again. I hope you guys are enjoying all of this goodness that is coming out this week. All right. I know I have. Like, I'm praying that not only have you enjoyed it, but it has also been fulfilling. It's also been illuminating. It's been revealing, right? That is what I want for you guys. So I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds to come into this room. I'm gonna tell y'all now, my throat is a little dry, and I'm gonna drink on this camera. I'm gonna be on this camera drinking. All right. So it's just a little body armor. All right. So don't look at me weird when I say I'm drinking today. But I'm gonna take a little sip and I'm gonna give y'all time to get into the room. And we're gonna talk about some stuff tonight. All right. Hey Anna. Hey Anna. Hey Rochelle. I'm gonna give y'all a few seconds to get into the room and we're gonna get into this affirmation tonight. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, PP. I know you be sipping the water all the time. Like, today is my day. Normally I come on here and I don't sip this water, but today my throat's a little dry. I'm gonna sip this water. Okay. We're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it together tonight. So let's talk about it, right? So this last 7 days of affirmation has been edge ripping, and I'm grateful for it, right? It has been illuminating. It has been everything that we needed it to be. And it was like timely beyond timely. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Jabrea. Like, we are really unfiltered up in here. Like, y'all lucky I don't have my bonnet on because that's how I'm really feeling tonight. I'm really feeling like a bonnet type of night, sit and chill and talk, real talk. So yes. So it has been so great that when I came to the Lord tonight, right? And I said, okay, Lord, I know this affirmation you giving me for tonight is for Allison. Hey, Kiki girl, how you doing, boo? I know it's for Allison. I know you're gonna have me down my lane and around the corner, 2 houses up, right? And I really could sit here and just talk about all of that. But I said, Lord, what do you really want me to talk about with this affirmation? And the things that he gave me is what I'm going to give you tonight. All right. So the affirmation for day 7, and 7 is the number of completion. Like, I put that out there because I really feel like this is going to be the affirmation that's going to heal some things and completely obliterate some things that's going on within us right now. So day 7 affirmation is, I hold myself accountable. Like, I felt that. I hold myself accountable, right? I hold myself accountable. And so when we talk about this affirmation and we talk about what am I holding, right? Like, I know I'm holding accountability, cool beans. But what does it mean to hold myself accountable? The first thought that the Lord hit me with, like dead smack in my forehead, like right here. Okay, right here. You can't see it, but I felt it right there. The first thing that he came to me with is, before we can even talk about holding accountability, we have to know what accountability is, right? We have to be able to have a clear understanding of accountability and understanding that your accountability may not be my accountability, may not be the circle of our friends' accountability. So in order for us to be able to be in alignment and on one accord with accountability, we kind of got to figure out what it is, what it should look like, what it should taste like, what it should feel like for us, right? So the definition of accountability, because if you know me, you know I love a good definition, okay? Yes. The definition of accountability is a person required or expected to justify actions or decisions, right? That is the definition of accountability. It's being able, it's having somebody in your corner, right? And the thing that got me was that it literally says that this person is required or expected to justify actions or decisions, right? This person is needed. This person is necessary. This person is you. All right. Just so that we can be very clear. This person is you. It has to be you. It will be you. Okay. Hey, Jasmine. Hey, boo. So yeah, this person has to be us, right? The level of accountability that we need to have, not just for ourselves, but for those around us and the people that we answer to, because we all answer to somebody, whether it's our friends, whether it's the covering over our lives, whether it's everybody in them. We answer to somebody, right? And in order for us to have true, vulnerable, authentic, unfiltered relationships, we have to be able to have somebody that we can be accountable with, right? Hey, Cece. Yeah, Cece jacked me up today. We talk about that later. Okay, anyways. So, in order for us to talk about the level of accountability we need in this season, we need to be clear on what accountability looks like. And for many of us, we don't know what accountability is because we've never been accountable and we've never had anybody really hold us accountable. Like, and when I say that talking to the people, because I used to be one. For some of us, we think that accountability is reactive and not proactive. Hey, Jesse. Uh, we see it as reactive and not proactive. But knowing the God that we serve, right? He didn't just put us on an earth, right? He put us here, but he made sure everything was prepared for us before we got here. He made sure that things were set in place and that we knew what the purpose was before we got here. So there's no way that we can say that we serve an awesome God and he's going to give us accountability for it to be reactive to the situations that we're in. Okay. So the first point that the Lord gave me very clear off was, it's not the fact that you have an issue with accountability. It's the fact that real, true accountability can become offensive to those who don't know what it looked like. And I know you're wondering, Allison, what do you mean by this? Right? I mean that the accountability that the Lord is calling us to, if you're not used to it, if you don't know what it looks like, you'll take offense to it, because your friends, your good friends, your covenant friends, your friends that, you know, have your back, will tarry in the spirit with you, will knock the devil over the head for you. They should be able to check you, right? They should be able to check you on key aspects of your life. They should be able to tell you things that no one else could tell you. And you should be able to receive it in love, because accountability recognizes integrity, right? And if you're my friend and we're in covenant relationship with the Lord, because we don't do covenant or agreement with nothing else, I know your integrity. I know that you come to me in love, and I respect that. So anything you say to me, I should be able to receive, and that alignment should be able to happen so that if anything needed to shift, right, it would have the room to do it. Your accountability partner, if they really your accountability partner, should be able to tell you the hard truths about yourself. They should be able to lean in and tell you, hey, girl, I don't know if you know it, but like, your deodorant ain't working the way that it's supposed to work today because your arms is talking. And they should be able to cover you in that manner. Now, I'm not saying that's what they do, but listen, if you got a good accountability partner, let it be. Let it be what it needs to be. But they should be able to have these conversations with you. They should be able to hold these things. Hey, sis, I noticed that you were really jacked up today. What's going on? That should be the conversation. Because if it's not true accountability, and I'm going to tell you how you know it's a true accountability, right? If it's not true accountability, then it's a mimicked device to keep you confused and bound, okay? It's a mimic device sent to keep you confused and bound. How do we know it's real accountability? Okay. Accountability in itself has three things. Okay. It has clarity, understanding, and boundaries. Okay. Clarity, understanding, and boundaries. What do I mean by that? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. Accountability, having clarity, means that I'm very clear about the intentions of the people around me. I just talked about it. It's me being able to discern their good understanding from me, to discern their wants for me to grow and excel. It's for it. I should be able to discern that there is an expectation over my life. And if it's real accountability, there's an expectation there. All right, let me see. Y'all talking it up in these chats, and I need to. Okay, let me tell you something. If your people can't tell you about yourself in love without you wilding, then you have some repenting and deliverance to go through. That's pride. What? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. I had to say and I had to say it the way that Jasmine said it because I felt it. Like I felt all of that in the throat. But yes, exactly that. It's pride, and you have to kill it. Like pride is the root, and pride and shame will keep us bound. Okay, it'll keep us from true sisterhood. It'll keep us from true relationship. It'll keep us from true alignment because we have not had that understanding, which is literally my next point. An understanding of accountability and an understanding of what the people around you are trying to do. If you have a really God-driven, God-minded people who have the Lord's heart concerning you, friend grouping, then the understanding is also going to be very clear that they are going to hear what the Lord has said about you. They're going to see what the Lord has put on you. They're going to understand the mantle that is on your life, and they're going to push you towards that. There is not a friend grouping that does not have an expectation to push you forward that came from the Lord. There is not a divine connection that came from the Lord that does not have an expectation that, okay, boo, you here now, but in 6 months, I need you to be here. Because if there's an expectation over your life, they understand the calling on your life. They understand the stuff that you may not even see yet. They understand it. They've grasped it. They hold it and they nurture it and they love it. Right? That understanding. And if they don't have that understanding, it doesn't mean they can't be in your life. It means 3, you got to set boundaries. Right? Boundaries and accountability are so crucial. Boundaries and accountability is so crucial. Because if you don't have boundaries, and this is going to go for both ways, because I'm talking about accountability as in a group to you, but we also got to talk about accountability to yourself and accountability from you to your group. Okay? Yes. Yes. Thank you. So maybe this is not the season for that friendship. Maybe this is not the season for that relationship. Because being confounded by the stuff on your life, or in some cases, being offended or feeling like you have to compare your life to this person's life, right? Can lead to open doors of shame, open doors of pride, open doors of discontentment, open doors of envy because you don't understand it. And the reality is that some people will not understand your season. There is nothing wrong with that. And that's why it's so important to have the right people around you and to have boundaries for the ones who don't. There are people who are going to be able to see you for who you are. They're going to be able to pour into who you're going to be. They are going to be able to sense and discern the spirit that the Lord has given you. They're going to come up to you and be like, girl, let me tell you about your gift of prophecy. And you be like, me? There are people on this earth who have literally been designed to push you forward, whether that's your tormentor or your friend. There are people designed on this earth to push you forward. And then there are people who just don't understand the push. And that could be your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your brother, your friend, your partner, right? It could be anybody. But if they don't understand, this is not the season for you to glean from them. Honestly, if anything, as a level of protection, right? Because I'm going to be real honest, as a level of protection towards them, you need to create a boundary and silence yourself. Because the reality is, there are certain things that we can say, not realizing the weight of our words. Yes. There are certain things that we can say and do, not realizing the weight of our words, our authoritas, or the authority that's on our lives. And because we're trying to maintain a tether that needs to have a boundary on it, we could hurt or we could cause judgment because we were not careful, because we were not able to put up a boundary. And the Lord shows us boundaries all throughout the Bible. If we look in the Bible and we take a microscope to it, we can see that boundaries were set. Even in God creating day and night, it is a boundary time. It is day, and then the boundary comes, and it is night, right? We see it all throughout his word, that boundaries are important. When Jesus went up to pray, he didn't let all of his disciples come up. He only let a choice few. And that's because if people don't understand what's on your life, putting them in the room with you is only going to do more damage to them than good. Putting them in the room with you while the Lord is doing his work can open them up to things that don't need to, right? So sometimes, growing up, we called it the holy hush. But in real time, sometimes shutting your mouth is the best thing you could do. Get quiet. Pray for them. Pray for their understanding. Pray for their wisdom. But shutting your mouth. Because you can only do so much until you're the one causing the damage and the hurt. And it's because you don't have enough discipline or control to shut your mouth. So that's, that was one thing. Yeah, that was one thing the Lord told me about, right? So then he said, in order for us to really talk about accountability, we have to talk about what that looks like for us, right? And when I say for us, I mean for us like FUBU. Well, not like FUBU, but y'all understand. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down. What authority looks like in me, for me, right? To be me. And the biggest part about that is I have to be honest with me, right? I have to be really, truly honest about where I'm at, how I'm doing, and how I'm feeling. And come on, Kiki, because you knew, because FUBU, okay? Because I felt that FUBU. I heard that FUBU. I have to be honest with me. I have to be honest about where I'm at. I have to be honest about what I'm struggling with because I have to be open and vulnerable, right? I have to be. So, one of the conversations I had this week, and this is something that the Lord is working with your girl on, um, because I am cultivating a new level of accountability with myself and with my community. I had a very interesting, it could have been a tough conversation, but like I said, I know the integrity of my community. So it was not a tough conversation, but it could have been. But I had a whole conversation this week with one of my really good friends, and she literally was like, "Girl, you will go through everything and then tell us afterwards." And I had to laugh because I do. Well, let me not. I did. I did because I got to watch my words, right? I would go through seasons of being like knocked upside the head by the enemy. I would experience like really heavy warfare, get through it, be struggling. And then on the other side of it, I'd be like, yeah, 2 weeks ago, the enemy came to me in my sleep and was like, I'm going to take your life. But you know what? I made it through. And I literally had to sit there and have like listen to my support group, listen to my community tell me, you don't tell us nothing until afterwards. Right? Like, you don't tell us nothing until afterwards. And I really had to sit there and I had to own that because I know it's true. I know that that's something that the Lord is working on me with. But once again, my accountability can see things in me that I could not see. And because I've given them the room to be open and vulnerable with me, they were like, girl, it comes from this. And it's because it comes from this that it's literally coming everywhere. Like it's bleeding into every relationship. It's bleeding into this area of your life. And I'm sitting there like, oh, I didn't even realize that. Like, oh my goodness. Like me? Like, like, really? And I'm like, oh my goodness. Yes, Jasmine. Yes. And I can laugh about it because I understand this is the place where the Lord is calling me to get tighter, right? Because the other half of this conversation that I had with this really great person was the fact that this was an open door, right? Like, me not talking comes from me being a single mother and having to do so much on my own, not having to check with certain people for certain decisions. And it's bleeding, but it's also an open door. It's also me expressing things out of a traumatic situation that is no longer me. Right. So I know that in this area of my life, I'm actually functioning from a default core persona that's no longer alive. And if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature, right? And all things pass away. That means this needs to die too, right? It means that I can't even fathom, think, imagine, breathe from this area of my life because this is a dead thing now, right? This is a dead place. And I'm trying to function with this new mantle and all of this new stuff that the Lord has over my life. And He's told me that I am new in every piece, in every portion of my body. And here I am in my mind, still operating from a dead space. Right? And I'm like, Jesus. Like your girl didn't even realize that in some ways I'm partnering with a death that came over my life, or I'm literally standing in objection to a holy death that came over my life, right? And I'm like, Jesus. So the question is like, okay, Allison, like you gotta communicate, you gotta tell the saints, you gotta talk. Like You have to hold yourself and the expectation of yourself. Like you have to hold yourself to a new standard and a new level because your community is holding you to a new standard and a new level, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm having this conversation with myself and I'm like, oh, this is super uncomfortable. Like, what do I tell my community? What don't I tell my community? And I literally made the decision like, over communication is key. Right? Like there's no such thing as over communicating. But if I'm going to kill this mindset that I have to do everything by myself, and yes, it's already dead, and yes, it's already done, but it's trying to creep in, and I see other things trying to creep in because of it. So if I'm going to kill it, right? If I'm going to step on the enemy's neck as I should and let it be dead, oh, that means I gotta do something. I gotta hit overdrive. Like, so I'm like, okay, Lord, like, what does the consecration look like for this? What does communication look like for me in this season? Show me how to be vulnerable in these places that I may not feel vulnerable. Like, let me be okay with telling my you've given me a safe space. Oh, don't do that. See, don't do that. The enemy want to try it, and I'm not here for it. And I bind it. Like you're not finna be on these airwaves messing with this. Okay, anyways, like I was saying, it means that it literally means that I have to ask the Lord, like, what does the consecration look like in this season? What does communication for me look like in this season? What does like being vulnerable for me in this season look like? You know, I'm like, okay, Lord, show me that I can, like TK said, rest is my birthright. Show me how I can rest in my community. Yeah, rest in my community with my vulnerability because I know their integrity and I can let them hold me accountable for when I get too quiet. Right? What, like, show me that. Show me that, Lord. Because if you're going to show me that, like you've shown me everything else, I know you to be exceedingly abundantly above all. Like I can ask, think, or imagine. You continue to blow my mind. You put me in situations that I don't even be thinking about. Like you're showing up for me. So this is no less and no different. But the one thing that I cannot do in this season is not hold myself to a standard, but then expect my accountability group to come in and tell me, oh, you got to do this, oh, you got to do that, and not hold myself to it. Because that's literally just going to brood contention. That's all it's going to be. I'm going to be so tired. I'm going to be annoyed. I'm going to be frustrated because I'm going to feel like they're holding me to a standard that is too high because I'm not holding myself there. And so accountability may not be your issue, but the confusion about where you stand with your own standards may be the issue. Your group, your friend group, your relationship group can see everything that the Lord has on your life. But if you refuse to step up to the plate and hold yourself to the same standards, you will brood contempt with your group. You will not like them because you're going to feel like it's hard when the reality is you're being disobedient and you're being hard-headed. And you need to come to the Lord and repent because you can't expect other people to hold you to something that you won't hold yourself to. You cannot expect people to have control over your mind, your will, and your emotions when you refuse to put it in check. You cannot think that your accountability group is going to accountability you or be accountable if every time they asking you a question, you're rolling your eyes. Because it has to be an alignment and an agreement on what you know. And if you don't know everything, baby, go to the one who do, because he's never going to steer you wrong. But if there is not an agreement on where you need to stand, don't ask nobody to hold you accountable. Like, can I really be honest? Don't be out here. Don't be the person that expects other people to hold you to a standard that you refuse to hold yourself to because you're not disciplined and high key, you're kind of lazy about things. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it because you refuse to disciple yourself in the word of the Lord and consecrate or fast. Don't do it. Don't ask people to be in your business if you're not going to be the one in your business first. Like, let's just not do it. Because, baby, you'll be out here mad at the world, confused at the world, and everybody is looking at you like, what's wrong with her? She's just, or him. Like, they told me this is what they wanted, and now they're not doing it. And now you're out here brooding in shame. You got an open door of pride because you won't put your flesh down and you won't subject your mind to the will and the way of the Lord. And on top of all of that, you're losing friendships because you don't know how to handle people. Can we just not? It's a new season. Okay? It's a new season. And the Lord is not playing with us. How are we going to have our hands or our feet on the neck of the enemy, and we can't even put our hands and feet on our own flesh? Like, we got to make a decision. We cannot be double-minded in the way that we want the Lord to show up. We can't expect him to show up on Friday and Monday through Thursday, we doing whatever we want and we not listening to the word of the Lord on our lives. Okay? We just can't. We can't. We can't. And like, we have to understand, like, our community, however we receive that message, that is our perception of what they have said to us. And we can either choose to understand and respect the integrity that's on their life or choose not to and disrespect the integrity that the Lord has on their life. And then don't be mad if you reject the word and then they don't, and then you just ain't got no friends. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't, because what the Lord is not going to do is allow you to be disobedient and reject the thing that reject the person that he sent to you, and then you think that he's going to continue sending people to you. He's not. He done told you it. He done confirmed it. He done affirmed it. You done went to the altar. He done told you in your ear. He was speaking real loud. You thought it was audible. Like, he's done more than what he needed to do, if we really keeping it a buck, more than he needed to do in the first place, because you should have listened the first time. He did more than what he needed to do to get your attention and to tell you. And then he done sent 12 people your way, a prophet from out of town that came in, looked you in your eyes and said, and you still ain't got it together. Baby, what you waiting for? Like, what you waiting for? Like, what is it that you're waiting for? You can either be like the wise women who bought extra oil, right, to keep their lamps going, waiting for the bridegroom, or you can be like the 9 foolish ones who didn't have enough and went to the girls and was like, hey girl, I thought I had enough, but I didn't. Like, can you give me some more? Like, and they said, no, go to the Rite Aid and get you some, sis. And by the time they got back from the Rite Aid, right, they had the wise ones had already went in and they missed their blessing and they missed their positioning because they were not in place, because they did not do what they needed to do. Yeah, the Rite Aid. I felt that. I felt the Rite Aid. And if y'all my age, I know what a Rite Aid is. And if y'all not, just Google it. It was a really great store. Like, just Google it, y'all. That's all I got. Just Google it. So, how do we hold accountability, right? How do we hold accountability? If you look up the definition of accountability, it means not accountability. If you look up the definition for hold, it means to grasp, carry, or support with one's hands, keep or detain, power or control, right? Hold means to grasp, carry, or support with one's hands, keep or detain, power or control, right? So in order for us to hold ourselves accountable, right, We literally have to be able to support ourselves where we are at in every season. And what does support look like for you? I'm glad you asked. You should go and sit in your closet with the Lord and ask the Lord what support looks like for you. Because many of us don't even understand what support looks like for us because we've been functioning from a traumatic state of support, which is actually survival. In the in me talking with my accountability partner earlier this week, I realized that some of my steps with not communicating comes from a level of survival. It comes from me just having to do what I need to do, quick decisions, quick judgments, quick answers, with no one to really be like, right? It's just me and the Lord. And of course, the Lord is never going to steer me wrong, absolutely. But I also know that there are seasons where my perception of Him has not been what it needed to be for Him to be like, Allison, it's a great plan, but not in this season. Whereas if I had opened myself up and been like, who I'm kind of having a staff meeting with myself and I'm responding and that's not good, let me go to my accountability group. They would have been able to tweak some things, right? But I didn't know and I didn't understand. But now I have an understanding and now I know. So that now means that I'm able to move. I'm able to move with the ebbs and flows that I need to move, but I also have an anchor in my accountability, right? So that while I'm able to carry and support myself, they can carry and support me. It's the extra anchor to keep me grounded, right? So you definitely want to, sit with the Lord, ask Him what does support for me look like? Does that mean I need somebody who I can call up and I can vent and I can tell them that, that was a real ball-headed move that they did, and I did say ball-headed, and I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Please don't act like y'all was saved all y'all lives. Y'all know what I said. But anyways, does that mean that we have to have somebody on the line that's like, she really did me dirty and it was a real ball-headed move? She really hurt my feelings. And what I want to do is run up on her, but the Lord has saved me and He has kept me. And so I don't have to do that anymore. Or I got, or, like, she really did me dirty. And you know what I mean when I say this. She really did me dirty and I literally can't say nothing because the Lord has held my tongue. So I need to come and express myself. If that's what you need, if that's what support looks like for you, communicate that. Is support looking like you crying on the phone? Is support looking like you venting and then you need somebody to logistically walk you through stuff? Right? Um, is support looking like they need to run up on you and check on you? What does support look like for you? Because in order for other people to support you, you have to support you. You have to support you, right? You have to be able to carry you. Like, we always talk about leaving our burdens at the altar, right? Because we don't need to carry those things anymore. But even though we're leaving our burdens at the altar to carry, we are then picking up and carrying our mantles, or we're picking up and we're carrying our assignments, or we're picking up and we're carrying our new wisdom and understanding. So although we're dropping burdens, we still have to know how to carry these things. And we have to have an understanding that we're already equipped for these things. So just because I'm picking it up right now doesn't mean that what I learned last season isn't for it. It means that it equipped me to pick it up. Right? I'm able to grasp and carry it because I've been through some things. I've learned some things. I've honed in on some things. And so now I'm able to carry that stuff. Baby, I was equipped before I even knew I was equipped, if I'm being real honest. Right? So we have to be able to do that. right? The other half of it is that we have to be able to keep or detain. Now, I'm going to say keep and detain. All right. I'm going to tell you why I say keep and detain, because we have to be able to keep our standards for other people to, and like communicate them. Right. So we have to keep our standards for ourselves. When people break our standards, we have to remind them of our standards. Okay. Real talk. You can't be out here mad if you told somebody 6 years ago that was your standard and then they broke it and then they broke it again and then they broke it again and then they broke it again, and you've been mad and having offense this whole time because they keep on breaking your standard because you told them once 6 years ago. Baby, life be lifing. And it is our standard to uphold. It is our boundary to uphold. So it is our job to remind the folk. That's it. And if real talk, if you have to remind them more than once, should they even really be in your group? That's a different conversation for a whole nother day, but y'all should take that and eat that and let that sit with you, right? So real talk is like we have to be able to keep our boundaries for ourselves. We have to be able to keep our standards for ourselves so that we can uphold our own accountability. But then we have to detain each and every thought that comes against anything that stands within our accountability, okay? Because accountability is, once again, a divine thing that is sent from the Lord. And because it is sent from the Lord, we know that the devil is going to try to mimic it to the best of its ability, which means that we now have to understand what is going on, what is at play, right? And then we have to be able to detain or captivate or captive those thoughts, those things, those situations, those people that come against the divine understanding of accountability. Okay? Because if you're not detaining them, they running amok. And if they running amok, they affecting you. And if they affecting you, then you're distracted. Not the season for distraction. Come up out of that. Thank you very much. So we have to make sure that we're able to detain those things, right? Keep those things together. Okay. So power or control. Again, power and control, okay? Because if the accountability, right, is uphold our boundaries, uphold our standards, right, is to keep us, it's literally to keep us in check so that we stay in alignment with the things that the Lord has over our lives and the things that He wants to do with us, right? If that's the case, then our power is there. Our power is in the alignment. Our power is in the understanding. Our power is in the wisdom because we are literally attached to the power socket. Okay? Like, we know that the Holy Spirit lives in us. We know that the Holy Spirit, like, literally, like, talks to us. We know that our God hears us, understands us, and all the good stuff. But if we're not in alignment with us, if we're not in alignment with Him, it's a level of disconnect. And if we do not have power and authority over those things that we need, it means that they are now controlling us. And if we are not in alignment with the Lord the way that we need to be, it means that there is something that has now caused there to be an abdication of the throne. And you know who told me the word abdication. I just want to say I love you. But anyways, abdication of the throne, right? And now the throne, what should be sitting on the throne of your heart, is no longer there. And that thing is now trying to control you. And that thing is now trying to wreak havoc in your life. And you're like, Lord, why? I'm doing everything you told me to do. I'm doing everything that you said for me to do. I'm going and I'm talking to the nations and I'm doing all this stuff, but you have nothing to keep you accountable. So the thing that should be in check is not in check. And now that thing is controlling you. That thing has now decided to run rampant in your life and cause a level of distraction and put you on a different track, all because you could not find your power. You could not keep your boundary. You could not say no when you needed to or yes when you needed to, right? If we can't hold ourselves accountable, if we cannot truly hold ourselves accountable, then we are literally allowing ourselves to be distracted because the alignment has to be there. We can't, our feet cannot be hinds feet used to climb if we can't even put the hinds feet on. Okay, like it can't work. We can't climb if we're being weighed down by those things that we allowed in because we didn't keep ourselves accountable to ourselves, to what the Lord has for us, to our way of life, to what he told us to do, to the level of consecration that he has for us. Like if we're not going to uphold these boundaries, then we've decided that we're going to let any and everything in. It needs to be a true understanding of what we need to do. It needs to be a clear understanding of it. You know very well that you heard the Lord say that this needs to be a new boundary, and you need to communicate that to your community, and you did not, because you didn't like it, because you said, that sounds really radical. But it's in the radicalness of the Lord that major shifts are happening. And we're out here, well, not we, people, because we got it together. People are out here missing and overreaching and coming up short because they refuse to check those things that need to be checked, or check those people that need to be checked, or have those conversations that need to be had. And they're bleeding on other folks, trying to help them. They're bleeding on other folks, trying to give a word, or they're bleeding on other folks, confused, my Lord, confused, because they have not submitted to the accountability that the Lord has. The true reality of the situation is that for what the Lord has over each and every one of our lives, there should be an expectation of the way that we move and operate in everything that we do. It's not just about having an understanding of excellence, but understanding that we serve a God that requires it. And when I say excellence, don't get that confused with perfection, because I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the excellence in doing things to the way that the Lord needs us to do it. Okay, let me just clear that up real quick, because we're not. But the expectation should be there. There should always be an expectation over you, because the Lord has not just called you to do. The Lord has called you to do in excellence. The Lord does not just ask for things. He asks for the things that he needs you to sacrifice to do better. Right? The Lord is not just like, he didn't call us regular. He called us peculiar. He calls us a royal priesthood. So we can't be out here giving out pauper treats, hoping and praying that we're going to get royal priesthood treatment. The understanding is that because I have to hold myself accountable, my team has to hold me accountable. My friend group has to hold me accountable for nothing less than what I need to do. Nothing less. And if they can't, then this is not their season. And that is okay. If that means that the Lord is sending me new divine connections, if that means that I need to open my eyes, because some of us have divine connections around us that are made for this season, and you can't see them because you're stuck shifting your mind into the fact that the season has changed and ended for other things. And you're trying to figure out, like, how is that going to work? And that right there, thank you, PP, We do. We miss them. We miss them. We miss those friendships. We miss those groupings. But for what the Lord has on our lives, your life, my life, their life, for us to stay in a covenant agreement with them will cause us to all be in a level of disobedience and rebellion. And then we all sit down, hopefully at the altar getting some deliverance. So we have to allow the Lord to shift us into being okay with, okay, this friendship was at the front and now it can't be. Or this season is done and I need to move forward. And yes, like we want to take everybody with us, but that's not the responsible thing to do. That's the fleshly thing to do. So I have to be able to hold myself accountable to the places, to the things, to the ways that the Lord has called me to. And I have to be vulnerable enough to understand that the people that He's bringing to me in this season are made for who I am becoming. I have to be able to have clear understanding of where I am going. And if I don't have a clear understanding of it, trust that my divine connections have seen things. Because it's not like He put us all in the same group with all the same gifts. He don't. Like, I have a really great core grouping right now. Like, some of us are seers. Some of us are some of us see things. Some of us are great discerners. Some of us have heavy wisdom. Some of us be like, no, right? But we all flow because the giftings that are on our lives season are meant for it. Right? And if we're not allowing the Lord to do this thing, then who are we allowing to do it? If you're not allowing the Lord to shake up, if you're not allowing the Lord to stir, if you're not allowing the Lord to complete some things in you, then who are we allowing to? And like, just because I heard it, like, I'm being real obedient to the Spirit. I want to be very clear. And my God, Holy Spirit, I want to be very clear and say, like, friendships do not always equate to divine covenants in every season. There may be a season where this friendship is a divine covenant, and there are seasons when it's just a friendship. But we also can't allow trauma from our past, because sisterhood has tried to take some of us out, right? Friendships have tried to take some of us out. But I hear the Lord clearly saying that that was not a friendship. That was not sisterhood. That was a distraction to keep you and to knock you off and to keep you blocked in this season where I want to bring people to you. So understand, like, that thing that you experienced before was not the Lord's clear divine understanding of friendship. And it was not the Lord's clear and divine understanding of relationship. It was not. If they told your business, the Lord didn't send them. Well, if they told your business, like, that's not a friend right now, period. And so we need to understand, like, everything, like the Bible says it, to everything there is a season, right? And we need to be able to flow according to the season, because woe is the person that is flowing the old way in a new season, right? Woe to that person that is trying to be new wine in an old wineskin. And so I encourage you today, right? I implore you to search in your heart and in your mind, right? In your will and your emotions, because I'm just going to name them all. To search for those areas that the Lord wants you to hold yourself accountable. And I want you to sit and ask the Lord, what does accountability need to look like for me in this season? I dare you. I double dog dare you. Let me just because I'm really feeling thuggish right now. I dare you to put it out to the Lord to show you who you need to be in community with this season and what that needs to look like. And to listen when he says somebody different than who you thought he was going to say. Yeah. Yeah. I implore you that when you say, "Oh, Lord, show me who I'm supposed to be in divine connection with," that you actually be obedient and listen, that you seek out that person. Because it's not always about the person you see. It's sometimes about what he's keeping you from. And so we need to be very clear about that. That anything outside of quick obedience to the Lord is disobedience, and it can be considered rebellion, okay? And that anything outside of the will of God for your life, including friendships in proper season, can be used as an attack on your life. We have to be able to maintain what we need. And then after we have set these conscious boundaries within ourselves, with ourselves and the Lord, don't leave the Lord out. Don't do it. Because then your flesh be talking real loud and you be like, when we do it with the Lord and we figured out what it needs to be for us, right? We bind comparison. Like, I need you guys to understand that your life is not going to look like the other people's lives around you. That there is no such thing as a cookie cutter saint. I don't know why, but I had to go back to this. Like, real quick, there is no such thing. Like, your life is not going to look like anybody else's life. Your life cannot look like anybody else's life, because your life has a testimony on it that will only speak for you. Okay. Only speak for you. And in order for that testimony to come forth the way that it needs to come forth, you need to be able to submit to not having control over the things that you see, or thinking that your life is off because you're not seeing the fruit of it the way you want it to look like. If the Lord gives us things the way that we want it to look like, we tend to think that we did it, and we didn't. We have to be able to be okay with the Lord stretching our minds, stretching our capacity, stretching our ways, stretching our understandings, the way that he needs to do it, for him to do it, the way that it needs to happen. You do not need to have control over this. You do not need to have control over your life. You do not need to have control over any situation. And your life does not need to look like anybody else's life. It does not. You do not know the responsibility that person that you're coveting, because it's a covet, the person that you are idolizing, because it's an idolizing issue. Like, you don't understand what is on their life that you want so bad, because half of the time you don't want it. So, like, you could be sitting here this whole time feeling like, oh, I want that impartation, and that person be fighting demons, and you don't want it. And you don't want it. Okay? Like, you don't want it. You don't want any parts of it. So once you have sat with the Lord and you have put him back on the throne of your heart and you have casted down any type of idolatry, any type of heart issue whatsoever, after you've done all of that work and the Lord has been able to put you back into alignment, you've now figured out what accountability looks like for you. Then I want you to go to your community, the community that the Lord told you to go to, not them people you've been going to, unless that's who the Lord said. But go to the Lord's people, right? Go to those people and tell them what accountability needs to look like for you. Yeah, and be real open and honest with them. If you struggling with sexual perversion, you better tell them folk. If you struggling with idolatry, you better tell them folk. If you struggling because you really like this man, but you don't know, and you need somebody to go to the Lord, you better tell them, because that's the community that's going to get on their knees and tarry in the spirit and rake KKK for you and be like, I don't know. I saw this when I was, or I heard this when I was, or I was there. That's the community. That's the community that's going to tell you that that boy or that man that you like or that woman that you like is good or not good for you. They're going to be the ones. Yeah. Be honest. Be vulnerable with your community. And then when they call you out on your stuff, because they will, you smile in love because you know it comes from a place of love. And when the enemy tries to come for that understanding and let offense sit in, you remind yourself that it comes from a place of love, because I know the integrity of the people that I have surrounded myself with. And because the Lord sent them to me, they are able to tell me things and I receive it in love and do the work. And do the work. Yeah. And do the work. Yeah. All right. All right, y'all. I think I'm done. I think that's done. Like, kill comparison in y'all lives, real talk. Just like, who I just really like. I'm really feeling it. Like, kill comparison in y'all lives. It don't need to be there. So, I think I'm done, guys. I thank you so much for coming and sitting with me today and having this chat. And I appreciate you guys so much. This is the 7th day of December. Tomorrow is the 8th night, which means new beginning. So whatever comes out tomorrow, just know it's a new thing, baby. Okay? It's going to be a new thing. And I'm excited. I will see you guys another night. Everybody have a great night. All right, y'all. Good night.